I think there's one or two. I'm not sure yet, but one for sure. And that's why I'm saying the party, you know, this perception. I saw some tweets from one of the bloggers who is always up my case, saying that I got a direct nomination for the party, which is not true. Otherwise, I'd be in Bombers right now getting my certificate. We're going to go through the nomination process as ODM, and God willing, if I am successful, then we go for the nomination again with NASA, because I believe NASA is going to field one candidate in every position. So it gives us a winning advantage, and yeah, that's it. So that's probably why there are no women there, because if you were opposed in any way, or if there are more than one applicant for the position, you're not going to be there.
Are some of these aspirants genuinely unchallenged? And I'm not talking about women, just generally, you know, some of these aspirants, are they genuinely unchallenged, or are they just ODM's preferred candidates?
Oh, no, definitely unchallenged. There's nobody from ODM who has come out and said they want the governor's seat. And I believe that's how it is. You know, I mean, people try and read politics into everything. I mean, it's definitely the way it is, yeah.
And going back to the conversation on the unchallenged candidates, such as Evans Kidero, the incumbent Nairobi governor, case in point, could this have informed your decision to pursue a different position, the fact that he's obviously, as we've seen, unchallenged?
Well, I wasn't in ODM at that particular point. I wanted to run with my own party, Harambee Democratic Party. Unfortunately, that was the first hurdle I came up. They refused to register Harambee Democratic Party. Then I thought run as an independent. It's very expensive to run as an independent because then I have to field agents in about I need about 6,000 agents. And let me tell you something, Lillian, where elections are lost, it's also in the integrity of the Kenyan citizen. You know, it's not just the leaders who lack integrity, the citizens also lack integrity. What happens is you have an agent, you've hired him, you're paying him 2,000 shillings to protect your vote, to count the vote, to ensure that your vote is protected and accurately counted. But what happens is you've got these big players, these big boys with a lot of money, and they come into your agent who is hungry, who's unemployed, he's got this 2,000 from you, and they say, look, forget how to count and we'll give you 10,000. All right, if you deliver this. So you find that when they're counting, they'll go Jubilee. The ODM guys are obviously there, ODM, and then you have your votes there. This is what happened to KNC. This is what exactly happened to KNC. I ran under KNC in the last election, and a lot of our votes were just taken on the wayside. You know, so you'd find that here's Esther Passaris' vote, but it's either if there's an ODM agent or supervisor that's there, or there's a Jubilee, at that time it was TNA, who's there and is more powerful, your agent is compromised. And then, you know, that last election was also very bad, because the counting took about 2 to 3 days, and the agents were only paid for 1 day. So a lot of the KNC agents had already vacated their stations. So I feel that if you are supporting a candidate, there's two things. You're either supporting the candidate or you're planted on the candidate. That's what happened to me in Embakasi. In Embakasi, I had malls within our campaign, and majority of them were on my payroll, working for me, but also working for my opponent at that time, which was OIT2. So it's a question of us as citizens, you know. We're so easily manipulated, and this is because of poverty.
Let me take you back in time. In 2013, you vied for women's rep on a Kenya National Congress ticket. You lost to incumbent Rachel Shebesh. What lessons have you learned from that? Do parties matter? Is this a more solid ticket for you?
You know, yes, parties do matter. You see, right now, running with ODM or NASA, all right, or anyone running with Jubilee for that matter, has a stronger advantage than an independent, because the independent cannot field, unless they are so moneyed, field agents in all the polling stations that are going to be 100% loyal. Because I'm telling you, Kenyans, it's money. I ran another poll and asked, what is influencing your vote? Is it tribalism? Is it development? Is it poverty? Is it money? And tribalism was number one. Money was number two. It wasn't even about issues. It wasn't even about poverty. So I really believe, you know, Kenyans are desperate for money. And rightfully so. The standards of living has become so expensive, and majority of our youth are not even working. You know, it's really, really sad. And you know, that frustration of being a man, you've gone through college, you're still living in your parents' house. So that's why we have drugs and alcoholism, because you're looking for an escape for that pathetic life that the leaders don't get. We need to eradicate. We need to actually make sure that we empower and give Kenyans ownership of the land.
Your working relationship with Raila Odinga, you previously worked with him. What informed your decision to go back?
Look, I have a lot of respect for Raila. And I also ran another poll. You know, I've really gone crazy with Twitter polling. I ran another poll to try, even before I thought of NASA, I ran another poll just to see who would be the preferred candidate for NASA. And of course, Raila came out tops at 49. And I also engaged with a few of the party leaders who are in the NASA. And I said to them, I said, you know, back this man, because he is the only one that can actually deliver NASA, the government. And for me, let me tell you what, Raila is an enigma. We call him Baba, we call him Captain. He's a beautiful soul. He's done so much for this country. And why I would like to see Raila as president is because I feel that, you know, Lillian, politics is so hard. I haven't been to a rally for a long, long time, and going into Kibera yesterday was so difficult. We were shoved and pushed and whatever, and as we were leaving, I lost 2 door handles. My car was scratched. It was dangerous, you know, people banging the window. You know, as you're trying to approach the podium, you're also, you know, you're roughed up, etc. Politics is hard. Look at Raila at his age. Let me tell you something. Raila is not in this because he wants to go and live in State House. Okay? Raila is not in this because he has some big ego that he wants to be president. Raila is in this because he wants to heal this nation. Alright? And I, as a Kikuyu, alright, as a Kenyan, I want to see this nation healed. We cannot hate each other based on tribe. You know, Uhuru had 5 years to heal this nation. When you look at all his appointments, it's 2 tribes. It is wrong.
You have a lot of faith in social media, Esther. You have talked again about conducting yet another poll, and of course you also announced of your decision to go for women's rep on an ODM ticket on Twitter. Why is that?
Let me tell you what, social media is very powerful, all right? And a lot of Kenyans are on Twitter. And for me, if I call Infotech, for instance, and say, do a poll. Infotech did a poll, and the poll was 800 people for Nairobi. And I said, you know, here is Twitter. One of the polls that I conducted had 6,000 people. You know, so it gives you an opportunity to quickly get into knowledge, and it's real time. You know, you're seeing it real time.
It is also very elitist, and you know, I believe your intention is to reach out to you know, everybody, not just persons on Twitter.
Okay, let me say something. Elitist, no. Majority of Kenyans, right, are on Twitter. Okay, maybe Mama Mboga is not there, but I'll tell you one thing. Even if Mama Mboga is not there, all right, maybe her son is there. Maybe her brother is there. Maybe her uncle is there. And these are people that are having conversation. So you hit one in a household, you've got yourself a near real poll.
You're coming into the race a little bit late. There are others, you know, your competitors who declared their interest way before. Do you think it's too late for you? Do you think that your chances could perhaps you know, be jeopardized because of how late you are entering into this race?
I think I'm actually very early, because really the candidates are not even established as at now. All right. So even if you look at the Jubilee side, I mean, you've got about 4 women, and you still don't know who the woman rep is, who's going to get the woman rep ticket. So it's not too late. And I mean, I think when I ran in 2013 for woman rep, and I came in 3 or 4 weeks before the elections, that was late. But right now, 4 or 5 months before the election, I think we've got a good time. Yeah, it's in good time. We can't politic all year round. You know, it's good time.
Looking at the incumbent, how differently would you do things were you to actually, I mean, if you are elected as Women's Rep Nairobi County, how differently will you do things?
Okay, for me, I'll tell you what. One of the biggest problems, you know, when the woman rep position was created, it was just about trying to get the parliament to be constitutionally right. Okay, so it wasn't a position with a mandate that this is what you're going to do. But at the end of the day, you're a parliamentarian, you're a legislator. The woman rep position has affirmative action. I'll tell you one thing. What is so sad is, even though we have affirmative action as women in parliament, at the end of the day, are you aware that they've been there for 5 years and they've only got funding too? And the funding they get for the entire county is less than what a constituency in a county gets. So again, this is a patriarchal society where men control everything, and that's why you can see that the gender bill is just not been able to go through. I feel that if I go in there, I'm going to try and champion and make men understand that we really need to work together. We didn't need to create the 47 positions. We could have actually tried to fill 2/3 gender within the 290. But of course, they don't want to do that. And even right now, they want to give a progressive, incremental way of getting women in leadership. We need women in leadership because our population is split 50-50. Women can articulate women's issues. You know, let me give you an example. Right now, one of the things that I want to do when I get in there is I want to have a bill that tells NHIF that at least 5% of their take, all right, will go into helping the very, very vulnerable and poor people. There's a young girl in Mathare called Esther, and she's got a growth on the back of her neck, and I actually came with her to studio today, and I was going to hopefully get them to share her story. Now, Esther's had this growth on her neck. Her mother is one of 3 wives. Her mother washes clothes and gets 500 shillings a week. Her mother, using that little transport money, keeps going in and out of Kenyatta and has never got treatment. Lucky I've got somebody today who said he's going to do the operation. It might cost a little money. I will pay for it. But this little girl, who's a Kenyan citizen, whose mother is a voter, all right, and she's going to vote for one of the leaders, has no access to treatment. And for me, we need a bill. NHIF costs about 6,000 shillings to become a member. How many Kenyans can afford 6,000 shillings? We need to give NHIF cards to every citizen who is unemployed. I mean, NHIF is a fund to give people medical. Another thing is we've got a lot of unemployed youth, you know, and you can see them, they're aggressive. We need to find something to do with these youth, because really they're being wasted and they're vulnerable, and it's not good. And you know, I saw the other day as well a young youth being executed in Isli. I mean, we really need to champion. For me, the woman, her child, her husband, her son, her issues, you know, widows, those are the issues that I want to focus on, and I want to focus on them through legislation. And where we have legislation, I want to find a way to ensure that no woman is denied justice when a law exists.
Many thanks. Many thanks for that, Esther. We've been talking to Esther Pasari. She has recently declared that she will be going for the women's representative position in Nairobi County on an ODM ticket. We're taking a short break. We'll be back with more on Citizen Extra.